So let me ask you a question. How many of you guys have this reel right here? This is the Shimano Japan SLX DC XT. And how many of you have purchased this reel based off of the videos that I've made on it? Now, this is one of my current favorite reels right now, and that's because dollar for dollar, it is probably one of the biggest performance bargains of all time, actually. I think at the time of me filming this video, you can have one of these for like under 200 bucks. Now, Shimano Japan actually states in the information on this reel that it's a DC reel that can do finesse. And their definition of finesse is like down to 3/16 of an ounce, which is 5 grams. So today, not only are we going to test that, we're actually going to put the DC XT through its toughest test and see if it can actually do some real bait finesse. So basically, I'm going to be throwing lighter and lighter lures until we find out what the limit of this reel's capabilities are as far as casting bait finesse lures at an acceptable fishable distance. So let's begin. Okay, so to give the SLX DC its best chance at doing bait finesse, I've mounted it on the GARCIA Salty Stage BFS prototype rod, the 6'3" model. It's ultralight power with a moderate action. You can see the combo looks actually pretty freaking sick. And it's got 4-pound fluorocarbon. Now, I'm using fluorocarbon because there might be a possibility of actually catching some fish in this cove today. And I didn't want to use that normal bright yellow mono. And as you can see, it is filled probably not even a quarter of the way. So hopefully that's going to be enough line. But yeah, I really love this combo. It feels good in hand. And this should give the SLX DC XT its best shot at bait finessing. All right, so the first lure we're going to try out is going to be a 5-gram lure, the Duo Realis 63 Rosante suspending. It weighs right at about 5 grams or 3/16 of an ounce. And this is basically a finesse jerkbait for bass fishing. Now, it really loads up this rod quite a bit. So I'm not sure about the rod ratings on this rod of, what are they? Capable of going up to a little over a quarter of an ounce, but it is what it is. Now, of course, when doing finesse, reel setup is key. And because the spool on the SLX DC XT is so heavy, even though it's got barely any line, I'm going to tighten it up and then back off the spool tension to where I have just a hint of side-to-side play, very much like what DAIWA sets up in their SV reels. Now, of course, with the XT, it's got the IDC5 brakes, so we're going to have to choose our line mode. So in my opinion, the braid mode is the least braked, so we're going to flip it over to braid. And what I'm going to do is, off camera, I'm going to dial this reel in and then show you the results. Okay, fellas, so in braid mode, now this is a big shock, I was actually able to go down to the #1 setting, which is the lowest setting. Now, there's a lot of chop on the water, but I don't really feel that much wind. Well, now I do, it's kicked up. But let me try to cast out into this dark area and show you what the XT can do with this 5-gram lure. Boom. So that went out there probably close to 30 yards. Hopefully you guys can see where it's landing. Now, allegedly, if braid mode is the weakest or least strong brake setting, then this is the lowest that I'll be able to go on these brakes. But we're not having any kind of overruns or anything with the DC XT. Okay, let's do a couple of sidearm. Now, the lack of overrun may be due to me hardly having any line on the spool. But yeah, this is 5 grams. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll pitch a couple of times and then we'll go to something lighter. All right, I'm gonna try to throw this into a dark area so you guys can see the splash. Okay, surely you guys saw that one. Now, of course, you can do some experimenting, try the fluorocarbon mode or the mono mode. But with 5 grams, not surprisingly, the XT handles it no problem. And I knew it would because in the initial casting impressions video on this reel, I actually threw a 1/8 ounce lure with 10-pound line and a medium powered rod, and it handled it really, really easy. So I'm not surprised. So if almost 30 yards is a fishable distance for you, then the XT can handle 5 grams no problem. All right, I'm gonna try to pitch this without sticking myself with these hooks. Ooh, it's gonna be tough. All right, I'm not gonna pitch because I don't wanna stick myself with the hooks, but let me try it like this. Oh, had an overrun there. So I'm sure that was my pitching technique that caused this, and I could solve it probably just by cranking up the brake dial to 2 or 3. But that pitch went out there, I don't know, about 10 yards. So 5 gram pitching, if it was like a soft plastic, like a 4-inch Senko, it would be no problem to get probably even more distance than this. All right, so if you were impressed by that display of casting, don't be, because a lot of modern bait casters, if you stick them on an ultralight rod and fill them a quarter away with 4-pound fluoro, they could probably do the same thing. So let's go even lighter. Okay, so now we are dropping down in weight to a 3.3 gram Duo Spearhead Ryuki. This is my favorite trout fishing lure, along with the Lucky Craft Pointer 48. And with the snap swivel, you're probably looking at about 3.5 grams or 1/8 of an ounce. Now, the brakes are set exactly the same. Braid mode inside with the external dial to 1. And check this out. Boom, that is definitely a fishable distance, probably going 80 feet, maybe a little bit more. Now this is an overhead cast. Let's do some sidearm. Boom, look at that. Easy, easy work for the DC XT. It's going out there almost as far as the Rosante, the bigger lure, probably because the lure is more compact, cuts through the air a little bit better. But I'm not having any accuracy issues when I'm casting sidearm, meaning the spool is not so heavy that it makes my cast go off to the left. So I don't have to do any kind of adjustments to my cast stroke. But yeah, 1/8 of an ounce, easy work for the DC XT. And the spool is perfectly behaved. So let's go even lighter now. So 3/16 of an ounce, 1/8 of an ounce, easy work for the XT. But now things are getting tough because we're dropping down a whole gram in lure weight with my other favorite trout jerkbait, the Pointer 48 SP. Probably about 2.5 grams total weight with this snap swivel. And I'm gonna start casting this without setting the reel up off camera, and let's see what happens. I'm gonna keep the brake settings the same. here we go. I'm gonna start off with a sidearm cast. Oh shit. That was just the easy sidearm cast because I didn't want to put too much effort into it in case the spool blew up or the lure would fly off to the side. But look at that. That went out there probably 20 yards. All right, some wind is starting to kick up. Let's see what happens. Boom. That's probably going out there at least 20 yards. At least. And surprisingly, the lure is not going off to the left either. Okay, so that went off to the left a little bit. I cast it with full force, but it's just a very easy adjustment of release point to get the lure to cast straight. Well, that one went off to the left, but these distances, and this is a bait finesse lure that is on the lighter side of things. 2.5 grams and under is where the elite reels live. All right, let's do an overhead. And the thing is, the spool perfectly behaved. No fluffs, no overruns. I don't have to worry about it. Might be able to go thumb free, but I'm not going to risk it. Boom, look at that. That is definitely a fishable distance. In Colorado, that would definitely get me more than enough distance to target those trout out there where I fish. Look at that. Can we say almost approaching 70 foot? All right. So this XT is really surprising me. I knew it could handle down to 1/8, no problem. But when you put this reel on a capable rod and the appropriate line, it can dip well into bait finesse, as you're witnessing right now. Look at that. All right, let's go even lighter. Okay, fellas. Now, this is a lure that I used in the last video in the cast battle between the Alphas and the Clamber 2. Now, I actually was mistaken about its weight. This lure weighs like 1.5 grams. With the snap swivel, probably like 1.6, so under 1/16 of an ounce. And this is the lightest lure that I picked out to test out the XT's bait finesse capabilities. I don't have anything lighter than this. So I'm gonna keep the brake settings the same and let's see what happens. Ooh, it went out there pretty good, but I did have a blow up there. I'm thinking because the lure probably doesn't cut through the air as good as the other lures I threw that are weighted. This has no weight transfer system, so it's just basically flopping through the air if I don't cast it right. Let's try again. All right, so distance is probably about 50 feet. So for 1.5 grams, that is very, very impressive for this reel, because it's got like an almost 17 gram spool. So basically we're learning that heavy spools can cast light lures. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the external dial to 2. Hopefully it'll cure that overrun, and if it does, we'll try some overhead cast too. Now we do have a wind going in from my left to my right. All right, so overrun is cured, but we probably lost quite a bit of distance, probably almost half. That's going out there. I wouldn't say half, but probably at least 10 foot of distance was lost. The lure does kind of go off to the left. I have to adjust my release point. But since I'm the most thorough tackle tester on YouTube, what I'm going to do is I am going to flip the line mode to fluorocarbon, which is supposed to have the strongest braking profile, and then we're going to go to 1. So maybe you can cast this lure in fluorocarbon 1. Let's see if that's true. Yep, it's on 1. Nope. Looks like that's about the equivalent. Oh shit, had to blow up. Looks like that's about the equivalent of braid 2. Now the good news is I can cast it as hard as I want and it's not gonna blow up. Come on, come on. Guess that bass is gone. But yeah, we're probably getting about 50 feet tops, maybe high 40 feet. So guys, if you have the mighty SLX DC XT, now see right there, I casted harder than normal and got a little bit more distance. But as I was saying, is if you have this devastating SLX DC XT, looks like you can bait finesse down to like 1.5 grams if you have the appropriate rod and line. I wonder if the CURADO 150 MGL can do this. Hit the like button and leave me a comment if you want to see me put the CURADO 150 MGL through this exact same test. All right guys, so as if I wasn't impressed with the DCXT before, now I'm even more impressed. Thanks a lot.